I've never scheduled a live stream. I always just go live based on what it is. So I think that we are live. I'm gonna go check out the YouTube page though and just make sure. Happy Tuesday, everybody. It's great to see you here in the studio. Oh, we are live. It is 12 on the dot. Good thing I started at 5 till thinking I'd, jump on here early because it took all of that time. Awesome. All right, I'm gonna get my screens set up. I've got a couple different things going on because I wanted to make sure that I was on Facebook and that I was on YouTube so that I can see everything that's going on. So I hopefully will be able to see your comments. That's my goal. That way, if you have a question and you didn't get a chance to submit it ahead of time, because we had that as an option that, sorry, too many things going on at once, that I'd be able to see it in the comments. So on my YouTube dashboard, I'm going to have it on my computer so I can see that. And then on my, I don't know why Facebook had to change things. I mean, I just do, right? Oh, there it is. I'm like, how do I create a post? This is not hard. All right, so join me now. That's what I wanted. Here's my YouTube. Post on Facebook. Hopefully that streams on Facebook. My goal is to be able to see my Facebook comments over here and my YouTube comments right there. All right. I'm gonna rearrange my screen. There's my chat. So here in the chat, I wrote hi. You can type your comments in there. There might be a bit of a delay, but that way I can see if there's a question I don't get to. And if I see it and I don't answer it right away, it's probably because I have it here in my notes. And I'm going to get to it. I'm just going to stay in my order. Okay, are we streaming? This is my phone here. Maybe not. Okay. I was hoping it would be embedded, but we'll just go ahead and put it like that. And hopefully I can see the comments on Facebook. If you're watching through Facebook and I don't respond to you, I may not be able to see it like I think I can. Just be patient with me. If I don't get to your question, I promise I will respond afterwards in a comment chat thing. Okay. Well, we are here live in the Liberty Studio. We're going to talk about all things to do with summer and hopefully get questions answered. I had some people submit questions to me ahead of time so that I could get those and formulate answers for you. I don't have my green screen on. I just thought that I would just come and chat with you. So no graphics, no screen shares, unless I get a really tough question and I have to share my screen. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and just chat with you. This video will be archived, of course, on our YouTube channel. We'll probably rip it off of Zoom and put it in our, like in our website, embedded someplace. I'm not quite sure where it will be, somewhere on the summer pages with timestamps so that you can find your answer to your question. So that way it's a resource for anyone, even if you can't stay and hang out with me for the entire video. We have a lot to talk about. I want to talk about camps. That's probably the biggest one. I want to talk about our classes that we have going on. Those are the story time classes, our teen workshops, which are new this year. And then I also just want to answer some general registration questions that people might have. All right. Like I said, if you have any questions, you can always throw them down in the chat and that way I can see them. Okay. So let's do this. Let's go ahead. I'm going to switch my, there. Perfect. We'll do it that way. So first things first, let's talk about these camps. So we have 7 weeks of summer camps. And in the past, we've had 8 weeks. This year, we did only 7. They start a little later this year. And that's just because we had a hard time filling some of the June camps. And we ended up taking a loss on the first week of June last year in both of our studios because when we run a camp, we run it as if it had, all 26 kids in it. And when we run it with only 6 kids, we lose money. So this year we took that first week of June and we just took it off the schedule. And I thought, if I'm gonna lose money, I'm gonna pay my staff and we're gonna take a vacation. So the Orange Eagle staff is taking a paid vacation during the week of June, and then we'll be ready to hit the ground running on June 19th, which starts our first camp. Now, all of the camps are listed on the website. So anything I tell you, even though I'm gonna throw a lot at you, you can find this information on the site. But I do know sometimes it's nice to be told instead of having to look things up. So, all right. So we go all the way until the third week, like through the third week of August. So August 17th is our last week, and we have 2 off weeks. One is the 4th of July week, and then one is that first week of August. And so, but other than that, we're pretty much like, once we hit the ground in summer, it's a sprint, the whole thing. The other question I had is, what kind of projects do they make in camps? And so, I want to talk a little bit about that. There are lots of different ways that we can write our summer program, and we've done it lots of different ways. For those of you who've been around a long time, we choose to write our camps so that we have a theme that all the projects go into. So we have a theme like Bodacious Botanicals or Glitter Fest or Fashion and Fiber, right? And so all the projects go with that theme. The other way that we could do it is we could have a drawing camp and a painting camp and a printmaking camp, and we've done that too. But instead of doing that, we choose a theme, and that way within that theme, they could draw, paint, print, sculpt, all the things. So they're going to do a little bit of everything in camp. If you look at the descriptions, there is a vague reference to the projects. There's going to be 4 projects in every camp because we've got 4 days of camps. So each day of camp, they'll work on a specific project during our project time. Some of those projects take 2 days or 3 days even. Something like the clay planters that we make in Bodacious Botanicals. One day has to be working with wet clay, and we can't paint it till it's dry. So they sculpt their wet clay one day, and then another day they will they'll paint and finish, and they have to like actually fill the pot with dirt and put a plant in it. They also have to knot together a hanger because it's a hanging like macrame plant holder. So that's a lot of steps. And it's not all done in one day. The main project that day might be sculpting. And then on one of the other days when there's a project, we might also paint our pots, or we might do it during arrival time, or we might do it during station time. But there's always going to be 4 projects that they work on throughout the week. So you can kind of tell what we're doing if you read the description of the camp. I'll give you an example. So for instance, in Paint-A-Palooza, it says, and Miss Bailey writes all of my camp descriptions because she's amazing. Because there is nothing that I dread more than writing descriptions. So she says, this paint sesh packs a punch of colors and ideas, so bring your brush skills while we pull inspiration from current artists' interesting and gorging works. Prepare for fun twists on disco balls, altered magazine figures, landscapes, and Polaroids like you've never seen. So all of those are actually painting or mixed media projects. They're all 2D. Something like Fashion and Fiber, it mentions that we're going to tie dye. We're going to make up mannequin models, which we've done before, and you've seen some images of those. We're going to get crazy textured with felted rocks. So that's a fiber project that is wool felting, and then paint embroidery hoops. So we'll do some painted embroidery hoops and some actual hand stitching. So if you read between the lines, you might be able to tell a little bit about what we're doing. But if you're really looking for like, what exactly is the project? As we get closer to time, we'll share some of that information. We might even update the class listing with pictures, because as I am writing the camp guides, we start to get those projects. So for instance, like Miss Laura is carving stamps right now to use in Unibo camp when we do a block printing tapestry. So all of those things have to happen. We will get those images. They're just not all done yet. So that will come. If it's a deal breaker for you and you're like, I really need to know what they're doing, everything is decided. I just might not have a picture, and you can totally reach out to me, and I will explain to you what giant animal paintings are, like how that's going to work, if you want to know. All right. Also, I'll mention that in terms of the question, what are they going to make? That's just the project. So we've got 7 hours of camp together, you guys. And during project time, we'll work on whatever project me as a business owner have planned for these guys. But they also have arrival time, which is a very open-ended time for them to explore, usually a drawing medium or a drawing challenge. And then we have station time, which is a time for them to just go in the whole studio, and we set up creative stations, and there might be well, there will be, let's be real, popsicle sticks and hot glue station out for the entire week that they can create and craft some amazing structures. We'll have the perler beads out so they can do that. We will have always drawing stuff out, whether that's alcohol ink markers or chalk pastels, or if it's something drawing related, they all get a journal that they can draw in and sketch in and keep. In addition to all of those creative stations, where they're making something for them, they can also participate in collaborative arts. We've got a giant canvas. We have a mural that they can work on. Usually we have some sort of collaborative collage project that they can participate in. We also have, of course, the sensory stations, which are just process. There's nothing they take home from that. We always have our blocks. We always have our dollhouse. We always have beading. So all of these creative stations are available to them, and it stays the same for the entire week. On that station time, it's 2 hours at the end of the day where they can just go and be and create and have fun. So it's kind of like, it's free time, but it's valuable, right? It's probably my favorite part of camp. It's the craziest, but it's my favorite part of camp. And so if you have a kid that really digs like process and sensory play or imaginative play, or like, they may not take home a bunch of stuff from that station time. They might just experience it. Or you might have a kiddo that brings you home massive amounts of popsicle and hot glue sculptures. Just never know. Depends on the kid. Camps, I had a question. How long do they last? So they are 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Thursday every week. So it's 28 hours of camp. It's super fun. Do we have to pack a lunch? That was another question I got. And the answer is yes. So you'll want to pack a lunch, something that doesn't need to be refrigerated, because we don't have fridge space for everybody. So you want to pack it. I mean, they come at 9, we eat at 1. I don't think they're going to get food poisoning in 4 hours. Like if you don't have an ice pack, I think they'll be fine. But just something that doesn't have to throw in the fridge. It's not like we're setting it outside in sun. It sits in the classroom. It's air conditioned. But we'll like at lunchtime, they'll grab their lunch box and eat that. If you've got young kids and this is their first time having a packed lunch, do us a favor, and the fewer Tupperware washable containers that you can send us that have lids, that would be great, because it's a lot when you've got a whole class of 4-year-olds that have never eaten out of a sack lunch before, and they're like throwing away their spoon and throwing away, like if it's disposable, I know that's like not good for the environment, but it sure makes our life easy. So we're happy to open packages. That's easy. It's the washable containers that makes it challenging. If you do send those, we ask that you label them, because we'll ask a 5-year-old, like, is this yours? Because we don't know whose box it came out of. And they're like, put some names on it. Same with water bottles. But they do pack a lunch, and then they eat lunch in the classrooms for those 4 days. We provide a snack in the mornings every day. So there's like a board in the front of the studio right by the sign-in sheet that you can see what the snack is for the day. And if you have allergies or food sensitivities, or I mean, just a general dislike, you're welcome to bring in an alternate snack. It's not a problem. I had a question about when drop-off begins. And so our classes start at 9, and drop-off is like literally 9 o'clock. Like you can't drop off at 8:40 and just leave your kid with us, because the camp doesn't start till 9. So the instructors that are here setting up for a 9 o'clock start, like, they aren't responsible for your kids until 9 o'clock. That's how that works. So in the past, it hasn't been a problem. If it gets to be a problem, we'll leave the doors locked until 5 till. Because what we don't want to have happen is have parents or grandparents or babysitters, whoever's dropping the kids off, leaving kids unattended in our lobby, at 8:30 or 8:40, because we're not ready to care for them. Like we can't put our focus on them because we've got to get ready for our day. So 9 o'clock is drop off. We start our day in our classrooms, and I thought maybe I'd walk you around and show you the classrooms here in just a second. But we start our day in our classrooms, and it's not like they come in and we're like, okay, let's get to work. Like there's a gathering time, there's an arrival time, there's a warm up time. So 9 o'clock's the earliest, but if you don't come until 9:30, it's cool, man. It's summer. So And I'll talk a little bit about like what our day looks like in camp, but just so you know, that's kind of how the morning works. We're still drinking coffee and we want to like talk to your kids about how their day went. Like we visit the tables and we chat with them about their favorite part of their week and different things. It's not just dive in and let's get to work. I had a question about when does pickup end? And so camp ends at 4. And so we expect that your kids are picked up at 4. It's not a window of time. At 4 o'clock, we will escort all of the artists out to the lobby and out to the parking lot. If you're not in the lobby, we go straight out to the parking lot. And we will look for cars. But we expect that at 4:02 or 4:03, when we come back in the building, we are childless. So that is the expectation. Obviously, things happen. So especially here in Liberty, we get, people that are like, 152 is a mess. And I get that. I live in Liberty, I get it. And sometimes traffic backs up and you're a few minutes late getting here, and we will deal, and that is okay. But the expectation is that you are here at 4 for pickup. We're going to talk about those workshops. We have evening workshops going on. We have private events that happen in the evenings in the summer. So we've got to transition our space. And for us, like, we're moms too. And so some of us have to go like pick up our kids or get our kids to their activities that night. So we just ask that you're respectful to that and are on time picking up at 4 o'clock when camp ends. If you need to pick up early, you just have to communicate with us and we will make sure that your kid is ready to go. Like if you need to leave at 3:30 or 3:15 or something like that. I had some people ask about, actually, you know what? We're going to talk about age ranges because that was a big question. But before I do that, let's walk through the space. You want to go on a tour? I hope this works. I'm just going to pick you up and try not to make you dizzy. Some of you maybe have not seen our Orange Easel space. So I thought we'd go on a tour. I'm carrying my laptop around with me right now. It'd be a lot easier with a phone, but you can see my phone is busy right there, and I haven't figured out how to live stream through Zoom on my phone. So this is our lobby area, and obviously I'm in Liberty, but our Plattwood studio is set up very similarly, where there's a gathering space for drop off and pickup. So this is the lobby. Here's the front door, yeah, and then in here is what we call the large classroom. During the summer, we name it the orange room. Down our hallway at the very end is our small classroom, and during the summer we call it the blue room. A lot of times during the school year we refer to it as the preschool room, but because our summer camps, when we get to ages we'll talk about it, because our summer camps, there aren't always preschoolers in that room, and even in the evenings, because that's where we have drawing classes, not always preschoolers. We named it differently in the summer and we call it the blue room, so that way I don't have a 7-year-old that's like, I'm not a preschooler. So we have the orange room and the blue room, and we'll go in there and see what's going on. So this is our large classroom. Now my Liberty studio is 1,000 square feet smaller than my Plattwood studio. So if you've seen Plattwoods and you're like, wow, that's tiny. When I moved out of my basement, that was like 500 square feet. This felt really big. So this is our large classroom. You can see behind me, there's a whiteboard and shelves and 2 16-foot cafeteria tables. That right there behind me this is weird, over there. Oops, I did something. That is hang on, sorry. I don't know what just happened. Okay, that's our patio. I touched a button and I shouldn't have. And we do use our outdoor space. But this is the large classroom, or the orange room, where our older set of kids will be. They also have a cleanup space. This is shared by both studios, kind of a big old messy cleanup space. And then this is the lounge. And both rooms will make use of the lounge. It's kind of a shared space. It's where we have our morning meeting. It's where we have our afternoon meeting. It's where we gather. And so that is the lounge. There's some furniture missing in there because probably in the closet. And then this down here, we're down to the end of the hallway now. There's an adjoining door between the 2 classrooms. This is our small classroom, or our blue room. Let me turn on one more light here so that you can see back in this space. You can see there's a fort to climb on in this room. So it's an open-ended play platform above and below. There are cubbies. We use those in the summertime for our summer camps. This one also has a whiteboard. It also has a fish tank, which is kind of fun. And then it has these smaller tables and chairs, which is great for little bodies. They're less likely to fall off the cafeteria tables. You can see there's a chalk wall, phone booth, and then sensory mats. So this is a little bit more playful space, a little less classroom, a little bit more play. It is a super cute room. In this classroom, we do have larger tables, so we will use they're in the class so they can be moved around the classroom. And so this room, like when we have our teens in here in the evening for drawing 102, they aren't always sitting, like they have the option. They can sit at the little tables, but we also have big tables that we bring in for them. So, and then we're just going back around in a circle. So this is the end of the hallway. There's the bathrooms right there. And there's a supply closet, an office, and then we are back into our lobby. So we're back here. So this is the Liberty Studio. The Plattwood Studio is set up similarly, except for their blue classroom. Their smaller preschool classroom is right off of the lobby. They don't have a long hallway like we do. And they are, like I said, 1,000 square feet bigger. So just ginormous. So there, and it's all in the large classroom too. It's not in closet space. Poor guys. They did not get good closet space like we did. We did in Liberty, but all right. So that's our little bit of our tour. Hopefully that makes sense for everybody. I'm getting back to my dashboard and hopefully not disrupting things again. I totally hit a button. I was like, and I broke it. I think I'm okay. So let's talk about another question I had, and it was about the ages. So the summer camp ages go from ages 4 to 12. So I've had questions on both ends of the spectrum, and I want to talk about those. So the first question I had was about 4-year-olds, and I've had parents that are like, "Wow, 4, really? Gosh, that's really young. Really? I can bring my 4-year-old?" And here's what I'm going to say. So, yes, you can sign up your 4-year-old as long as they meet certain criteria. And some 4-year-olds are ready for this. And some 4-year-olds are not. And it's okay if they're not. It just means maybe they start next year with camps, okay? So here's what our expectation is of all campers, but especially those young ones. And so if you're a parent of a 4 or a young 5 or even a young 6, and you're like, I don't know, here's what we expect. Number 1, we expect drop-off to be fairly painless. Few tears, not a problem. Little sad face, not a problem. What we can't handle is incessant crying that lasts like the whole morning, screaming, like really loud screaming and crying, because it just like the whole vibe of the room. Once one of them starts, then all of them are like, I want my mom too. So we can't have that. Trying to follow you or escape or run away. We can't do that. So if your kiddo you're like, oh yeah, that might happen with my child, then they're not ready to come to art camp. So generally, like the drop-off needs to happen fairly painlessly. We understand there are big emotions and it's okay for them to be sad. We just, there are limits. All right. The next thing we expect from them is they have to be happy to be here. It's a long day. If they're unhappy and say they get sad in the afternoon and we can't cheer them up, or they're falling asleep, because that has happened, we will call you and you will get to come pick them up. Okay, so that's just how that works. So if your child, again, like you say, I don't know if they can handle it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, then maybe art camp they're not ready for that this year. We'll still be here next year. They have to, and this is probably the most important one, they have to be able to use the toilet independently. So picture this scenario. We're in a classroom. The good news is in Liberty and in Flatwoods, the bathrooms are really close to that smaller classroom. So we're in class and they're doing the PP dance and the instructor says, do you need to go to the bathroom? And they're like, yes. And they say, go ahead and go. And they open the classroom door. We expect that they walk out of the classroom. They walk down the hall. They go in the bathroom. They turn on the light. They use the bathroom. They wash their hands and they come back. Now, a lot of times in our studios, we've got teen helpers who can stand outside the classroom door and watch for them to be done and to come back to the room. But nobody goes out to the bathroom with them and nobody goes into the bathroom with them. That has to be done independently. We don't wipe bottoms. We don't help with like clothes, you know, up, down, buttons, none of it. So they have to be able to use the bathroom independently. And they also have to be able to like be aware of their body enough to say, I need to go to the bathroom. I've had parents drop off and they're like, so they just probably need to be reminded to go to the bathroom every 2 hours. Like, that's not going to happen. It's just, it's not a realistic expectation for our staff. We're here to teach the whole group. I mean, we'll notice if somebody's probably doing a PP dance. If we notice in time, I don't know. But that's not on us. So if your child is not to that point, that's okay. Maybe next year they'll be ready for coming to one of our camps. Okay. Next up, I've had some questions. Can I send my 3-year-old? No. I don't care if they go to full-time daycare. I don't care if they're really, really mature. I don't care if they have a September birthday and they're almost 4. No, they have to be 4 at the time of camp. So if they turn 4 in July and they meet all of that criteria, then you can sign them up in July. Sound good? All right. So then the other, like the opposite end of the spectrum, I have had questions about our older kids and they've said, okay, so how does this work, right? Does that mean that my kid's going to be with 4-year-olds? And the answer is yes. Now, there are 2 classrooms and we do split the rooms. And that's a little bit later on here. We're going to talk about those, like how that division happens. But there is a lot of time that our camps are together. So if you have an 11-year-old or a 12-year-old and that's going to annoy them, don't sign them up. That's okay. Some 11 and 12-year-olds really love like younger kids and they don't mind the mixed age group, but this is a mixed age camp. So if you have older kids and it's going to bother them to be with young ones and to put up with all the antics that comes with young kids, then this is not the camp for them. And that's okay. Just so you know. All right. We do recommend like in the past, I can only go off of references of in the past, but our like age range is 4 to 12. The bulk of our campers are 6 to 8. That is like 80%. It feels like 6 to 8. Like that is the age for our camps. And we get the outliers. We get some 4s, we get some 10s, we get some 11s, every now and then a 12. But the bulk of the camp is 6 to 8. So if you're going to sign up a 12-year-old, I really recommend that you sign them up with a friend so that they have one peer that is the same age as them. Does that sound good? All right. I'm just making sure that my stream is going good. I had it freeze on one of my pages, but this one's looking pretty good. I see a couple of you are watching. I like it. Okay. It says I have an excellent connection, but this video is frozen. Whatever, it looks fine over here. So I'll just keep plugging along. How's that? You guys comment or text me or send me a Facebook message if things are being silly. All right. So the way our camps are lined up. I'm just going to go to Facebook really quick and make sure. The way our camps are lined up, we are together during a couple different times during the day. Like both classrooms are together. We're together during morning meeting. We play a game in the morning. Sometimes it's a crazy game like using hula hoops. And it's an obstacle course, or sometimes it's a drawing game. It's a little bit quieter. Sometimes it's like play ducks and cows. Grace likes to play, it's like a hand clap game where you sit in a circle and you go down by the banks of pain, where the bullfrogs, and then that song's in my head like the entire day. So they play different games. There was one at Flatwoods, like ninjas, or I don't know, but it was almost like a duck goose kind of thing. So they play games together to build community and to warm up. We're going to be together for 27 hours. And so it's really important that there is a community and we don't get on each other's nerves. So that's one of the things we've learned in almost 9 years in business, is that we have to spend time building a community, because if we don't do that every day, by the end of the week, everybody's like, not the teachers, we're good, but the kids are annoyed at each other. And so they get little like, so we spend time with that, creating that community and just having fun with each other. So we're together for morning meeting. We're together for games. We are together in the afternoon for stations, but that's like a free for all. So everybody can go wherever they want. And then we're together at the end of the day for our afternoon meeting. So those are the times that we're together. During project time, during lunchtime, we're in our classrooms with our groups. Now the classrooms are divided. So that was my other question people had, is like, how are the classrooms divided? So we take it's not a like everybody 4 to 6 is in this room and everybody 7 and up is in this room. It doesn't work like that. What we do is we take a look at everybody that's registered in camp. I put them in birth date order. I find them the middle, and then I look and I go, okay, the blue room can handle up to 10 kids, and the orange room can handle up to 14, and then, or 16 if you're Flatwoods, or whatever the number is. And I see where that dividing line falls, and then we move it up and down. What I don't want to have happen is have one 7-year-old in the blue room and every other 7-year-old in the orange room. Like, we don't want that to happen, or one second-year grader, So we look to make sure that we're not splitting a group. We also look and see, sometimes I have parents that are like, can my kids be together? And they want to put the 7-year-old with the 4-year-old. In that case, we would move the 7-year-old into the blue room. So we do order requests like that. If kids want to be together, generally speaking, if kids want to be together, it's the older one moving down to the blue room, not the other way around. It's usually there's not a huge age range. So it's a very fluid. And like I said, they're only separate during project time and really lunchtime. And at the beginning of the day for arrival, we separate just because it's a little bit less chaotic, but we're together very quickly for morning meeting. So that's how that works. And we don't do it often, but we've been known to switch people in the middle of the camp. So after the first day, to say, I think this person would do better here, and to move them into a different classroom. Usually it's not that dramatic, but that's how the division works for camps. All right. Okay, what else do I have? What if we have to miss camp? Oh, wait, I was going to go back. Hang on. Just to leave you hanging. So back to my 11s and 12s, my older kids, right? So I said, make sure they sign up with a peer so that they have somebody their age, right? So they don't feel like they're just the only one. But in terms of art projects, you guys, I am a grown adult and I have fun making these projects. Like, really fun. Like, I think they are amazing. So there's no project that we're doing that's really babyish, that you're like, oh, that's way too easy for my 11-year-old. I promise you it's not. Will their art look different than a 4-year-old? Yes. And the 4-year-old's art will look very different than a 12-year-old? Yes. But there's no reason that this would be like beneath them. Okay. I think that of all of our curriculum. I think it's all amazing. So we try in the summer camps to make everything very process. So even though it's a project that we're looking for at the end, everybody's going to look very, very different. And you can be successful in what you plan to do. All right. What if you have to miss camp? So we're going to talk in just a second, the next thing, about the cancellation policy. So like you wake up a day before camp and you have strep and you're going to have to miss camp. That's different than say you have a dentist appointment scheduled, or or you have to come and get picked up early one day because you're going out of town or something and you have to leave at noon. Whatever it might be, right? Or you have to come late because you have swim team practice. Okay. So what I'll say is it's 27 hours or 28 hours is a really long time. So if you miss a little bit of time here and there, it's going to be okay. We will make sure that you get those 4 projects done. If you miss actual project time, we can do that during stations. We can do it during arrival, one-on-one with you. We have a lot of hands here. We're going to have obviously a teacher per classroom. We also have an admin, another instructor who is here every single, like when camp is open. That's the person that would call parents. That's the person that stays in the lobby. That's the person that is an extra set of hands if a kid needs a break and they just need to come out and sit and chill for a little bit. So we always have an admin, and then we have an entire teen staff. So there's always extra hands. So I could look at one of my teens and say, hey, this artist missed the project yesterday. Can you sit over here with them during our arrival free time and work through it with them so that they can get caught up? So those are the types of things it's, the more we know, the better we can plan for it. So if you know that you're going to miss after you've registered, just communicate with us. Worst case scenario, if we can't get it done, we'll make a kit and we'll send it home. Okay. But most of the time we can get it done in camp. There's enough free time, but we can get it. No worries. So cancellation policy. So I've got a link here and I'm just going to stick it in the chat. So that way everybody has it for whenever they want to look at it. And this is going to be a link to our cancellation policy. It hasn't changed in 2 years, hence why the URL is summer 2021. But I wasn't thinking when I made the permalink, but short-sightedness. So it hasn't changed. I've just updated the date on it. But the way the policy works is once you register, there are no makeups. There are no refunds. It is your camp. There's no like, oh, never mind, I need to cancel my registration. Can I get my money back? Like that does not happen. Now, that doesn't mean that there's no hope and you're just going to be out the money, because we can transfer you. So if that week no longer works, we can transfer you to a different week. We also have 2 locations. We can transfer you to a different week at a different location. So, and of course, all that is pending space in camps. We can't transfer you to a camp that's full. So the sooner we know, the better. The other thing we can do and that's with 7 days notice, we can transfer you to a different camp. We can also transfer your registration to another artist. So if you know somebody, whether it's a sibling who also meets the age requirements, a cousin, a friend who wants it, we can transfer it to them. And in that case, like we can either just transfer it and you can settle up the balance with your friend, or we can take their money and refund yours. However it works, if that's awkward, it doesn't matter to me. We just have to figure it out. Or we can usually find somebody off of our wait list. So in past years, we've always had a really robust wait list so that we can help you with that. We can help you find somebody to take your camp off your hands for you. Okay. Because we can totally transfer those. Okay. I think that's it on the cancel. If that isn't if that's confusing, let me know. We're going to talk more about wait lists and registrations and stuff here, but I did want to get to the cancellation policy because it is a big investment, right? So it's important that you know that. So before we get to talking about registration and kind of like the nitty gritty of it, I want to go through a little bit about story time classes and a little bit about our teen workshops and then a little bit about our teen staff. So I had questions on story time classes. So the story time classes are 9:30 to 11 o'clock on Friday mornings. We have to do it then because it's the only day we don't have camps. So 9:30 to 11 on Friday mornings. They are the same weeks as camp weeks, and generally the stories go with the camp theme. Not totally, but kind of. Okay. We have brand new stories this year, which I think are really fun. I don't think we have any repeats. Well, we've done Sky Color. I shouldn't say that. But everything else is like brand new this year. So these are some of our favorite stories from the past year. We read, we do storytime art classes online every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, year round, and we've been doing it since 2020. So Sarah and I and Grace and Abby and Bailey and like, let's see, Evan, like everybody has read so many books. And so we went through and we were like, what have been some of our favorites? And so we picked out some of our favorites to refresh the summer lineup. It's been a while since we've done that. So pretty excited. Do's It Talk is one of my favorites. Pretty pumped about that. All right, ages for story time. So the story time classes are designed for ages 3 to 6, which again is a very wide age range, right? Like the art a 6-year-old makes, the art a 3-year-old makes is vastly different. That's okay though, because everything is very processed. So, so for our story time classes, it's 3 to 6. We do have younger kids that join, and that's okay. They just need an assistant. It's not a problem. They need an engaged adult assistant, not just somebody to drop them off. So make sure that if you sign up a 2-year-old that you're prepared for that, and that you also know that it's not designed for them. So the fine motor skills of our 2s is not the same as our 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s. So there may be some things that they struggle with. It's not a bad thing to give them those tools and to expose them to that, but it just, like, you just have to go in with an awareness. All right. So for the ages of our storytime classes, 3 to 6, I do have some 7-year-olds that will join because they are siblings. So maybe you've got a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old in their home, and you're like, we'll just go to storytime class. The 7-year-old is welcome as long as they are registered and paid for, and as long as they understand that it is designed for 3 to 6. So they are welcome to come as long as they're an enthusiastic participant. We can't have them complaining that they are surrounded by babies or boasting because they're just so much better than everybody. Like they have to, you know, assimilate, fit in. So we're welcome. Your older kids are welcome as long as they can play nicely with everybody. That's all. All right. So I had some questions about story time and how they're different from our weekly classes, because we have a preschool class that meets on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday mornings during the school year. That is also 9:30 to 11. And the format is identical. Identical. We do an arrival, we do a story, we do an activity in the lounge, we do a project, we go play. It is identical. And everything is very fluid. There's a lot of movement. There's a lot of novelty. We try to never sit in one place for more than 15 or 20 minutes because, you know, they're young. So it's very, very similar. The only difference is we don't have journals. We do journal time in our fundamentals classes. We don't do it in our story time summer classes. And we can't do a project that takes multiple days because we don't know that everyone's going to sign up for multiple story time classes. So it has to wrap up in one class. It's really the only difference. All right. Do parents stay or drop off? So for our story time classes, you have the option. If your child is 3 years and older, you are welcome to drop off, with the caveat that they are happy to be here. So very similar to what we talked about in the camps. Your 3-year-old, if you're dropping off for those 90 minutes, needs to be able to, like, not try to run out into the parking lot to find you. They need to be generally happy to be here. They can't be like hysterical screaming and crying because you're gone. If you drop them off and they are in that state, you will get a phone call from us to come and pick them up. Okay, so as far as toilets and bathroom, you know, I understand that most 3-year-olds might need a little bit of help in the bathroom. We will not help them. So if you have a 3-year-old or 4-year-old who does not use the toilet independently, you know, you could probably make it through a 90-minute class without it, but just know we will not be going into the bathroom with them. Like, you could take them ahead of time and just be like, we're going to be good for 90 minutes. If you feel comfortable with that, we're fine with that, but just know we won't take them. We'll lead them right up to the door, but we won't take them to the bathroom. Sound good? If you have questions about that, let me know. We have a lobby area that if you're like straddling the fence where you're like, I want them to be independent, but I also want to be here in case they need me, you're welcome to hang out in the lobby. You are also welcome to go next door. Here in Liberty, we've got a coffee shop. Platt Woods has a coffee shop. right in their parking lot as well. You could just venture just down the road for 90 minutes and have some quiet time. And that way you're nearby in case we need to go. All right, cancellation policy for the story times is on that same link that I put in the chat, so you can check that out, but it is identical. Once you have registered, it is yours. There are no makeups, there are no refunds. However, with a 7-day notice, we can transfer it to a different story time at a different location, at a different time, one of the other 14 ones, or we can transfer it to a different artist. So if you have a sibling, a cousin, a friend, we can transfer it. If there's a wait list, we can pull off our wait list and help with that. Okay. Okay. La, 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 la. Ready to move on to teen workshops? We're rocking and rolling. We're gonna be done in an hour. I guarantee it. So teen workshops are new this year and I'm so excited. So we've got this brand new program for our teens. In the past years, we've had really just the camps for the young kids and then nothing for our teens. But this year we wanted something really special for them. So we have designed 5 workshops. Is that right? Yes, 5 workshops for them. These are 2-day workshops. They meet in the evenings and they meet for 2.5 hours each time. So it's a 5-hour total workshop. They are loosely based on the camps because like I said, the stuff we do in camps is awesome for all ages, adults included and teens included. What the teens will do with it will look totally different than what the 9-year-olds or the 7-year-olds or the 4-year-olds do with it. But it's the same invitation and it's the same lesson. We've just stepped it up a level. So a lot of the projects are similar or just one step above. And we're still going to explore a lot of the same themes. They're still going to do like a stop motion one. They're still going to do a textile one. They're going to do one that's loosely based on Glitterfest, which is fun. And then they've got botanical ones as well. The only one that's different that has absolutely nothing to do with camps I'm really excited about is the altered paintings workshop. So if you're not familiar, there's a whole movement of people going to thrift stores and buying paintings and then think like Bob Ross kind of paintings. And altering them. So getting like their brushes and trying to match the painting style, but adding something to it that is completely unexpected. It's usually a pop culture reference. So you picture this serene like mountain landscape, and then in the back is the Death Star, and in the front is a Star Wars character. So like, or like 2 opposite things, TARDIS and I don't even know because this is not my genre, but anyways, and so we're gonna do that kind of creative altering of paintings. I've got a whole bunch that were actually donated to the studio, and the kids will get to pick their painting. It's already done, and then figure out what they're gonna add to it and how to. The goal is to match it into the landscape so that you don't notice it right away, right? So that'll be super fun. Those are some of the workshops. The ages for the workshop are 12 to 18. If you have a student who is a young graduating 5th grader. So they're finishing 5th grade this year, but they maybe don't turn 12 until like July. They can still come to the June camps. That's going to be the one exception because really what we're looking for is everybody, we want middle schoolers and high schoolers. So graduated 5th grader and beyond. All right. Why are they only at Liberty? That's a good question. So the reason they're at Liberty is because Liberty has a huge, amazing population of middle schoolers and high schoolers. To give you an idea, so Flatwoods has a middle school, high school multimedia class. It has 9 kids in it. Liberty has 2 6th, 7th grade classes and 2 8th through 12th grade classes. And we have nearly 40 kids between those 4 classes. So they are full. We have a huge population of teens here in Liberty, and that's why the program's here. It's because we needed something here to serve them. We hope that the community of teens grows at Flatwoods, and the biggest difference between our 2 studios isn't like, oh, well, Liberty must be better. That's not it. The difference between our 2 studios is we opened in 2014. And so my kids that are in high school right now started with me in kindergarten or in preschool. and they've been with us since then. Like they've grown up with us. And so we've kind of grown our own population, and that's why we are where we are. Flatwoods will be there. They just have to, the kids will grow up, and then they'll be teenagers, and then they'll have teen workshops, because when the population is there, we will make it happen for them. So that's why. All right. Speaking of teens, let's talk about the teen staff. So I've had some questions about teen staff, and I want to make sure that I answer them. Let me put the link here in the chat. I made all these links in a notepad ahead of time so that I could just copy, paste them, because some days I'm on the ball. So this is our junior staff link, information about the program. So we have teens that help us out during the summer. We have teens that help us out throughout the school year as well in our younger classes. And this program is only open to Orange Easel students. So you have to take weekly classes in the studio. There's no time limit on like how long you had to have taken classes. You know, so if you did the fall semester, but not the spring semester, or you just joined us in the spring semester, or you've been around for 3 years, there's really no time limit, but I would say at minimum a semester with us, because what we want to make sure is that you have a wide range of knowledge about the studio, about the instructors, about the curriculum. Especially those kids that are multimedia students have a big advantage when it comes time to helping with camps, because they've used a jelly plate. Right? They know what a brayer is. They probably know where the brayers are in the closet. They know how to use the supplies because they've used them all in their multimedia classes. They understand when we say, oh, we're going to make a collagraph. They're like, oh, okay. So there's a big advantage there, as opposed to taking someone in that hasn't had that background. So we're looking for our teens that are Orange Easel students who want to volunteer and have a really fantastic first job experience. That is my mission with this. I mean, as much as I just like having help around the studio, I mean, free labor is great, but our heart goes into it because we want these kids to have a great first job experience. I want them to know what it's like to put in an application, to go through an interview process, to go through training. I want them to know how they should be treated in a job. And how they should be respected in a job. When they have to be corrected because of their behavior, I want it to be by somebody who loves them and can do it in a way that teaches them and not belittles them. So that's really where like my passion is on this, is to help them have that experience in a just an environment that they already are comfortable in. So for our teen staff, they do have to fill out an application. They do have to interview. There is staff training, and the dates are on that website. It's May something, it's whatever the Sunday is, 22nd, I think, in the afternoon. So we do summer staff training. The whole team is here. They get a t-shirt. They join the staff. We do, anyways. They volunteer for one camp in the summer. So it's not that they're volunteering the whole summer long. It's not a commitment where you have to be here June, July, and August. It's one camp. So they will, and some of them might be 2 camps, but for the most part, everybody will do 1 camp. If you volunteer at Flatwoods, you might be able to get 2 camps, but Liberty's staff is so big, in order to get everybody their weeks, it's usually only 1. If you're open to volunteering at Flatwoods, just because they don't have that huge teen population, you can probably work a little bit more. So the application process starts April 1st. So you'll be able to go ahead and sign up April 1st, fill out your application, and then we schedule you for an interview the week of April 17th. And then we get you a decision. Nobody's ever like not made it. It's not really the point of the interview. The point of the interview is to get the experience. So, and then they get their schedule, and then we do staff training and all the things. So that's how that works. If anybody has questions about it, please let me know. I do have a list here. Okay, so some of the jobs that our teens do. So they help prep supplies. So it might be, can you cut 50 of these out? They help go get supplies. So we're in the middle of class and we're like, oh, I need the Sharpies. Can you go get the Sharpies out of the closet? They'll go get supplies, running like a gopher so that the teacher doesn't have to leave the classroom. They help with cleaning, because at the end of the day, we have to clean things. So part of their staff training includes like, how to clean the bathroom. It's a valuable life skill. They help with organizing. Sometimes it's like, can you sort all these markers for me? Get rid of the ones that don't work and just keep the ones that do. They help with setup at the beginning of the day, setting up the room. They help with younger students. So during our like class or camp setting, we might say, this one's a little bit squirrely. Can you just go sit next to this child and, you know, help them stay on task? That's it. Not anything like you're their sole responsibility, but that's one thing that could help us. Just sit here and be a presence. And then the last thing that they do for us is they are a fantastic role model. They are the ideal camper. We want them during the game time to be so excited. We want them during morning meeting to be engaged and like talking to the kids and hyping them up and sharing. We always recognize our students at the end of the day for who was, you know, kind, who was creative, and who was helpful. And we want them to be engaged in that process. So we're looking for them to be like a role model camper so that other campers follow suit. It's like positive peer pressure. That's what we're looking for our peer volunteers. If that sounds like something you would be interested in, we'd love to have you on junior staff. Put in an application. If you are a current junior staffer or you were a junior staffer last year, you don't have to fill out a new application. There will just be a form on that same web page I shared where you'll fill out your availability. All right, let's talk registration and then we are done unless I get a few more questions. I'm going to flip to Facebook and just make sure I don't have any questions here. It doesn't look like it. When does registration open? So if you haven't heard, registration opens March 15th, now at 9 a.m. Now my studio club members, you guys register starting tomorrow at 9 a.m. So if you are a studio club member, you can register your studio club student starting tomorrow at 9 a.m. You cannot register the sibling of your studio club student. You can only register that child who is studio club. Tomorrow, when you look at the website, instead of saying wait list, it will say members only because it will only be open to those members. Nobody panic. On the 15th, that will go away and everybody can register. But from the 1st to the 15th, it's members only. So it'll change to say members only. The whole system will be brought down tonight about 9 o'clock so that I can make all those changes and then just publish first thing in the morning. So if you're like browsing at 11 tonight, like where did it all go? It'll be back, promise. I used to run registrations at midnight. It's like, why am I doing this? This is silly. All right. So if you want to, let's see, my people for the 15th, if you would like, we will send you an email reminder when registration opens. There are 2 ways to get email reminders. The first one, and probably the one that will come fastest to you, is to sign up through the link I just shared with you. That's through our constant contact email marketing. And that will subscribe you to summer updates. I don't send a lot of emails. Well, I shouldn't say that. I send a weekly email to everyone who's in classes every week, but I don't send a lot of like marketing emails. Just because. So it's not like you're going to sign up and just be put in a general pool and then get every single marketing email that I send forever and ever. You will be put in and tagged as summer news, and you'll only get information about summer. And I believe there's like 3 emails scheduled. There's one after this video that says, did you see our FAQs? And then there's one, I think the day, actually there's probably only 2 because one of them went out today. So then there's one on March 15th at 9 a.m. that says register now. That's it. After that, we will only use that list if, like, I don't think it's going to happen, but if we were to open up a whole new week of camps, we would send an email like that. It is a possibility. We've tossed around the idea of that off week in August being a camp week. So if things fill up really, really fast, there's a possibility. And like, I also have to take care of my staff and make sure my staff is good. But, and if we can staff it, it's a possibility to add camps in August. I don't know. It's a toss up. All right. So that's the best way probably to get reminders. The other way to get reminders is to actually join the wait list. So if you are on the wait list for the camp right now, because registration isn't open, when registration opens, we will send an email to everybody on the wait list. It says, hey, it's open and there's spots, go sign up. So specifically for your camp. That will take longer because that has to happen manually. But whereas like the constant contact one is already scheduled. It's just gonna go. Done. I don't have to do anything. All right. Will everything fill up? If the past years are any indication, yes. The first thing to go, again, if past years are any indication, the first thing to go will be Glitterfest in Liberty. The next thing to go will be Liberty's or Plattwoods' Glitterfest. After that, it will be each one of the July camps. I'm not sure which ones will go first, but there are 2 other July camps. I've got it here. Dark and Dramatic, which is like a nocturnal animals kind of fun, and then Fashion and Fiber. So those will be the next 2 to go at both studios. The past couple of years, we don't usually fill up the August camps very quickly. Those ones go a little bit later, especially the last one. So whatever one is that 3rd week, just because it's so far away. The June camps, they kind of tag along. They're usually full by mid-April. So if they're gonna fill, like I said, that first week of June last year, we just I don't know what happened. So, but yes, they usually do fill up. So if a camp sells out, somebody asked, will you open more spots? And at this time, the answer is no. We have no intention to. Now, 2 years ago, which was our 2021, when we were still a little bit unsure, like masks had just gone away, and of course they came back in the middle of that summer. Like we started our camps with like fewer spots, and then we added spots as we felt comfortable. In 2022, we did not. We just opened with what we felt comfortable with, and so we're still like we feel pretty good about the numbers that we picked. I mean, I've talked to all my instructors and said, what's the number you can have in your class where the experience is still amazing, and they've given me that number. For us, it's not about let's cram more kids in and make another couple $1,000s. Like that's at the cost of experience. We're not going to do it. I just don't need the money that badly. So we'll figure out a different way. So we have our numbers capped right now. I think 26 is Plattwoods and 24 is Liberty. Again, just because they've got more space, they have a few more kids that they can take. Yeah, so that's where it's at. If I'm on the wait list, what are my chances? Was a question that I got. If you are on the wait list, depends how many people are on the wait list. Like if you were on the wait list and you're thinking, what are my chances that I get a notification there's a spot? Pretty good. Pretty good. When we have an opening in camp, we notify the entire wait list. We don't like pick and choose and just tell one person and then wait to hear back from you. And then they say yes or no. And then we go to the next person because it's like, it's just not worth it to us. It's a pain. So we just alert the entire wait list that there's a spot and it's first come, first serve. So if there's 37 people on the wait list and I alert you that there's one spot, odds are good you're going to get an alert. Odds are good there's going to be movement. Now, whether you're the one that gets that spot, I don't know. Because it's just, and that 37 number, that's like a Glitterfest wait list. That's standard, typical for us. Also, though, I mean, I'm pretty realistic. Just because somebody joined the wait list doesn't mean they actually intend to come, right? There's no skin in the game. It's not like it costs them anything to join the wait list. So sometimes we get people that just put their name on it because they're like, well, maybe I'll want to go. And that's okay. Like there's nothing wrong with that. But realistically, there might be 37 people on there, but 37 people are not going to sign up for camp. If I were to open up 37 spots, they wouldn't all sign up. So hopefully that helps with that. So odds are good there will be movement, especially this early. We register so early. there will be movement and there will be openings and we will alert wait list. I don't think there was a single camp last year that we didn't have to pull somebody from the wait list, or multiple times, right? It just happens. It's just a matter of, you know, I guess, how fast you are at getting emails and texts and registering. So, all right, I think that is all I went through all 3 pages of my notes, and we are, where are we at on time? Did we make it in an hour? I don't even know, because I totally like, no idea. I don't even know where that is. Oh, there it is, an hour and 4, hour and 5. I was close to an hour. So thank you for putting up with me. I hope I answered some good questions for you. If there are questions I didn't answer, please reach out. I would love to help you with that. I can type them even after the broadcast in the chat of this video, or you can send me an email and I will answer them privately for you. Either way is fine. So hope everybody has a wonderful rest of their Tuesday, and I will chat with you soon.